Hello, welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News. I am Mariam Yau with the news. Today, 19th August 2026, which is equivalent to Islamic calendar 6th Rabiul Awal 1448 after the Hijrah, and first the headlines. President Tinubu cautions politicians against ethnic, religious diversion, primordial sentiments. Federal Account Allocation Committee shares over 3 trillion naira among 3 tiers of government July revenue. Minister of Defense cautioned security agencies against last-minute deployment of election. On the international scene, Iran warns Gulf countries against supporting U.S. military over Strait of Hormuz. On sport update, Real Madrid formally unveiled Jose Mourinho as head coach in private ceremony. This and more will be coming to you in the bulletin. Stand by. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has cautioned politicians and candidates against abusing ethnic, religion, and other primordial sentiments in their campaign for the 2027 general election. He made the call in Abuja at the signing of the peace accord ahead of the 2027 presidential election, insisting that the pursuit of political power must not undermine Nigerians' unity. Tinubu, who was represented by the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, George Akume, also committed himself and the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) to peaceful and transparent election, noting that the party will dread violence, hate speech, misinformation, and incitement throughout the electioneering period. Tinubu, while reaffirming the commitment to the peace accord, said the APC would abide by the principle and conduct its campaign in a manner that promotes national peace and stability. He also commended the National Peace Committee (NPC), particularly its chairman and former head of state General Abdul Salam Abubakar, the Sultan of Sokoto, and the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Most Reverend Matthew Hassan Kuka, for convening the accord and sustaining effort toward peaceful election. Political parties, presidential and National Assembly candidates signed the first National Peace Accord (NPC) on issue-based campaign ahead of the 2027 general election, pleading to shun violence, hate speech, misinformation, personal attack, and other conduct capable of undermining the electoral process. The agreement was signed in Abuja at the ceremony organized by the National Peace Committee in partnership with the Kuka Center, just hours before statutory beginning public campaign and rallies for the election. The event brought together Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Josh Apumitan, political party leaders, presidential candidate, National Assembly candidate, the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, and representative of the diplomatic community, among other stakeholders. Those who signed the accord include President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, represented by Josh Akume, Peter Obi, Adewo Adebayo, Omoyele Sowore, amongst others. According to Inec revised timetable, the presidential and National Assembly election will hold on January 16, 2027, while the governorship and State House of Assembly election are scheduled for February 6, 2027. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has projected over 100 million registered voters to participate in the election as preparation for the 2027 general election gathered momentum. National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Muhammad Haruna, disclosed this during the INEC joint implementation meeting of the Department of Voter Education and Publicity (VEP) and Gender and Inclusivity (G&I) for the 2027 general election. He explained that the voter register, which currently stands at over 93 million, is expected to exceed 100 million once just included continues. Voter registration (CVR) is finalized, placing Nigeria as the largest electoral democracy in Africa. Haruna, however, charged INEC information officer to deliver effective publicity and mobilize all eligible citizens to fully participate in the election, which are just about 151 days away. On his part, Chief Press Secretary and Media Advisor to the INEC Chairman, Adebayo Oketola, emphasized the Commission commitment under Josh Apumitan, the credible and inclusive election, as well as implementation of the meeting outcome. The Federal Account Allocation Committee FAAC shared over 3 trillion naira among federal, state and local government council as revenue for July 2026 as statutory collection rose by 658 billion naira driven by improved receipts from petroleum and non-oil taxes. The Director of Press and Public Relations in Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Bawa Mokwa, in a statement after a meeting held in Owerri, Imo State, said the gross statutory revenue rose to 4.36 trillion naira in July from 3.7 trillion naira recorded in June. He explained that the federal government got 1.1 trillion naira while the state government received 943.4 trillion naira and the local government councils also got 673.6 trillion naira, adding that about 243.5 billion naira, representing 13% of mineral revenue, was also shared with benefiting state and derivation revenue. The committee affirmed its commitment to diversify the federation revenue base beyond oil in line with ongoing taxes administration and non-oil revenue mobilization reforms. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come on the news. Minister of Defense cautioned security agencies against last-minute deployment of election. On the international scene, Iran warns Gulf countries against supporting U.S. military over Straits of Hormuz. On sport update, Real Madrid formally unveiled Jose Mourinho as head coach in private ceremony. This and more will come to you after this break. Stand by.
Good day, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ezisho Damfulani. I'm the Managing Director of the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, NIC. It is my pleasure to introduce NIC, Nigeria's foremost agricultural insurance institution, established to provide insurance protection and risk management solutions for farmers, agribusinesses, and agricultural investments across the country. At NIC, our mission is to safeguard farmers against losses arising from natural disasters, adverse weather conditions, pests, diseases, and other unforeseen risks that threaten agricultural productivity. By providing reliable insurance coverage, we help farmers recover from losses, improve access to finance, and contribute to national and food security and economic growth. In line with renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, we are committed to strengthening NIC's capacity by expanding insurance coverage, embracing technology and innovation, and ensuring that more farmers and agricultural stakeholders across Nigeria benefit from our services. Agriculture remains the backbone of our economy, and insurance is the critical tool for protecting investments, enhancing productivity, and promoting sustainable growth in the sector. Through strategic partnership, improved service delivery, and digital transformation, NIC will continue to support farmers and contribute to Nigerian food security and economic development. Together, we can build a more resilient agricultural sector and secure the future of farming in Nigeria. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Welcome back, and now the news continue. Security agencies has been cautioned against relying on last-minute deployment for election security. The Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, issued the warning while delivering the keynote address at the Blueprint newspaper seminar on security, noting that security election cannot be achieved through last-minute security deployment, insisting that lasting election security requires months of intelligence, lead planning, and coordination. He said election security must not be treated as an event limited to election day, but as a continuous process requiring early preparation and assessment of emerging threats, adding that the changing nature of security threat had made it necessary for election preparation to go beyond the physical protection of polling units. Also, former Governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, warned politicians against using insecurity as tool to win the heart of the citizens. He stressed that the fight against insecurity was collective, national responsibility that went beyond government and security agencies. The management of Kaduna State University (KASU) has dismissed claim by Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU) that over 200 academic staff has left the institution over poor condition of service. KASU Vice Chancellor Abdullahi Musa in a statement said staff movement between university was a global phenomenon and should not be interpreted as evidence of poor working condition at institutions. The Vice Chancellor's reaction is coming following the 2-week ultimatum issued by KASU to Kaduna State government over the implementation of the 2025 federal government ASU agreement and other welfare consign. It would be recalled that KASU chairman Abubakar Abdullahi had at a press conference on Monday expressed worry over the alleged loss of more than 200 professors and other experienced academic staff. The Kaduna State University (KASU), however, urged the union to present its grievance objectively, adding that attributing every staff departure to the university condition of service was misleading and could create unnecessary alarm about the institution. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has joined the U.S. Department of Justice in seeking a 10-day extension to respond to a motion demanding the release of record relating to allegation of drug trafficking. Tinubu's legal team filed a notice of joinder before the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia, asking to be placed on the same schedule as the defendants in the case. The filing was published online by Von Batten Montage York, LC, a US-based policy advisory and lobbying firm retained by former President Atiku Abubakar. According to the filing, the plaintiff opposed the request while the defendant did not. U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell, however, subsequently denied the application of an extension, according to the lobbying firm. Von Batten Montage York in a post of X alleged that the requested delay could give Tinubu additional time to lobby U.S. officials against release of the record, claiming that the record could become a subject of discussion around U.S.-Nigerian relation and Tinubu's cooperation with Washington on security matters. And now on the international scene, Iranian military had warned Gulf countries against assisting the U.S., saying it would be tantamount to joining American military operation. Iran's Armed Forces Chief of Staff Ali Abdullah affirmed that any assistance or facilitation provided to the aggressor U.S. military amount to participation in U.S. military operation, noting that it seems unlikely that such a large number of military aircraft, particularly refueling aircraft, could be present at regional base without knowledge of host country. Abdullah, the country bordering the Persian Gulf, which have issued various statements saying they will not allow the United States to use their territory against Iran, should know that we are fully aware of the situation. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has declared the Strait of Hormuz as new U.S. territory, escalating its position and control of the strategic waterway amid the ongoing conflict with Iran. Trump made the declaration through a graphic shared on his social media platform, which identified the Strait of Hormuz as a new U.S. territory. Finally, on the news, the recap of the major items. President Tinubu cautions politicians against ethnic, religious diversion, primordial sentiments. Federal Account Allocation Committee shares over 3 trillion naira among 3 tiers of government July revenue. Minister of Defense cautions security agencies against last-minute deployment of election. On the international scene, Iran warns Gulf countries against supporting U.S. military over Strait of Hormuz. On sport update, Real Madrid formally unveiled Jose Mourinho as head coach in private ceremony. On behalf of the news editor Ilya Auta and the production crew, I am Mariam Yau saying thank you for listening. Goodbye.